This morning, we are chatting about tax. We've actually got a super special guest. Koti is joining us. He is a tax analyst at PKF, and you're going to guide us through the murky waters of tax in Kenya, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't want to say that those are murky waters. I would just say it's sticky. A sticky situation, because at the end of the day, taxation might seem a little bit intimidating at first, but the moment you just, hunker down and you want to deal, and you just have to sober up and deal at the end of the day.
So, you're totally right. It's the apprehension before you start. So let's begin there.
Yes.
How do you know when you have to start filing these tax returns? What's step one for someone who's just turned 18, entering the workforce, things like that?
Well, first and foremost, it's very clear. Income Tax Act, Section 3 says it's important any incomes that are derived from Kenya need to be taxed. So that means if you are working, whether you're running a hustle, or if you have an income being the income being in salary form, or if you're an organization and at the end of the day you have in your profiteering, it's just, you definitely need to pay your taxes.
Now, even if you're not profiting,
despite not as much as even when you're not profiteering, you are still paying taxes with minimum tax. But as long as you are accruing any form of income.
Okay.
Yes, the key word is income.
So what's stage one? Let's say most of the people earn a salary. Basic employed earn a salary. What is the step by step? And what do we need to look out for, those mistakes people make or forget?
Well, I think first of all, step one is you need to register and get yourself a KRA PIN. You need to be 18 to make sure you have a KRA PIN. That's step one. And once you do have a KRA PIN, if you are an employee, you need to share, of course, your KRA details with your employer at the end of the day. If you are a business, you need to know the kind of business you're getting into. Is it a service you're offering? Is it a product that you're offering? Is it a taxable product? Then once you do that, it's it's just free flow from there. And also, please remember, a major mistake that people make is they think about taxes after they have already set up their business, which I think it's a major error. Come on, Kenyans,
please learn about taxes before opening a business,
or consult your tax consultant
at least. That's the most minimum you can do. Now, what income does one have to start paying taxes on? So I know there are different brackets, but which is that first bracket that starts?
I wouldn't want to say that there is a first bracket per se, but let's talk about salaries, okay? Or what do you call this? You're an employee getting a kind of pay from your employer. So the moment you get to 24,000 Kenya shillings and above, of course, there are different brackets. And you talk about brackets, is different amounts are taxed at different percentages. It's important, and that's what you're mentioning are the brackets. But if you earn anything less than 24,000 shillings, matters pay as you earn, and you're being taxed, Bana, you should look at your employer, squinting at them.
Okay, so basically after 24K is when you really need to take this seriously.
True. And actually, by the way, the brackets are from 24,000 shillings, you're taxed at a rate of 10% based on the new tax brackets that were introduced effective 1st January 2021. Then the next 8,333, you're taxed at 25%. Anything above that is taxed at 30%.
It's a big jump though between the brackets.
True. I wouldn't want. Yes, it is indeed a big jump. And in the when you look at it from the COVID angle, of course, currently, guys are being paid. Hallelujah! We're being paid, and today is Friday, isn't it? But if you look at your salary, your net salary that is hitting your account, in comparison between the COVID period and right now, of course, you're getting a lot less. So please do not kill your payroll accountants. Please do not kill them. Kindly, they're doing the right thing. But in comparison to what the brackets were before, yes, we did a couple of calculations here and there, and the difference, I wouldn't want to say the difference is the same, but the impact is not as high. with ratios of being about 4% in comparison before COVID and right now.
So it's not as bad as we think it is.
No, it is not as bad as we think. Yes.
That is encouraging. Well, you've heard it from the expert. I'm going to call him the tax man. Even though that's sometimes a bad term. Send in your questions at 0758-123-444. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's Financial Fridays. Today, we're actually joined by a very special guest. It's Koti, who's a tax analyst at PKF, and he's been really educating us on taxes and KRA and all of these things that are going on. And if you've been on top of your taxes recently, you might have faced some challenges, and we want to hear from you and talk to you. So you can drop us a WhatsApp on 0758-123-444. But we also have some questions for you.
Yes, we do. And in fact, you know the song that was just playing, When No One Gives a Damn.
Oh, yes.
Now, there are quite a few people who don't give a damn when they're filing taxes.
It's just haphazard.
Yes, confusion. And it's more like last minute thing. But you know, last year you spoke about COVID and how the brackets changed during that time. And last year there were a lot of changes. Initially from Jan to March we had a different bracket. Then again April to December another bracket. And then start Jan 2021 we're back to square one. So when you're filing the taxes now for the last year, has KRA uploaded that system where all those brackets that were changed are
and the changes
there, or because I've tried. Let me be honest, I have actually tried filling my returns, and
good for you. Good. Clap.
No, it didn't work.
You're not waiting for June.
No, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
I have a debit, which is a huge amount to pay, and I don't know where it's coming from because everything looks perfect.
Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, first and foremost, COVID-19. Let's give, first of all, a shout out, of course, to the government for trying to cushion Kenyans for the just dealing with the pandemic. But the interesting thing is, I mean, after that, you know, now they
gone back to normal.
Yes, things go back to normal.
Even though for us things are not normal whatsoever.
Yes, true. I mean, hey, there are, of course, different variables with things not being normal. But when you look at it from filing your return, yes, it's true. There have been issues, especially when you try to upload your P9 form or the BCL file that you download in order to be able to file your return. And there are variables to that, of course. Things are not normal, without a doubt. There are, as you're aware, the bans were reduced and then all of a sudden they went back up, right? And please remember, January, February and March, everything was normal.
Yes.
Then everything was reviewed in April. So the question is, how does the Kenya Revenue Authority manage to absorb that as we are filing our return? To be honest, if you try to file your return, because I too have tried, it's funny things happen.
It's a bit shocking. KRA should be on top of this. If we're having individuals reach this roadblock, and then if you don't end up paying your taxes on time or filing, you get penalized as well.
I completely agree with that. But please remember, you have until 30th of June to file your return.
We have some time to rectify.
And the thing is, I mean, Kenyans, please do not, your guys don't just sit at home and not keep trying. I mean, keep trying. Definitely.
So I think that's important to reiterate. You need to keep trying and have a record of your trials.
That is actually very good. Yes, true. You need to have a record of your trials, because one of the things that is important to Kenyans is you can be able to communicate clearly with the Kenya Revenue Authority. If you have tried and, I mean, things did not work out, I mean, fine. That means you have proof.
They're legally bound to respond to you, right?
Definitely.
Or it'll be accepted on their part.
That's
make
true.
sure you keep this record, email them and keep those all of that safe.
Yeah, I think before we came into this thing, we were talking about it, and apparently KRA has 90 days to respond. Otherwise the fault is on their side. And if once they respond and they're waiting for our response, we have 30 days to send an email back. Otherwise the fault is on our side. So basically just try and keep up to date. As Koti said, KRA is not after you. Like, they're not sitting there just to whip you down, and
that is a great area.
No, but you see, at the end of the day, government needs that money.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yes.
So they're not there just to beat you down constantly.
Of course.
They will help you if you're stuck.
Yes, true. And if you communicate and you clearly articulate yourself that you're trying, I mean, then the onus is on them.
There, you've heard it loud and clear. And the only thing on my mind is tax. It's Financial Fridays here on Radio 44. And we've been learning a lot about taxes, filing, KRA, and I think I'm less scared about the whole process.
That's good.
And now that we've spoken to Koti, who is a tax analyst at PKF, and I think one of the situations we all go through is you turn 18 and your parents start, get your KRA pin, get your KRA.
Yes.
KRA what? KRA pin for what? I'm still sitting at home, no job, or I'm still in school.
Yes.
Now, what is the importance of getting the pin? Why do our parents really force us to? And if you're a student with no income, why on earth do I need to file a nil return?
Okay, great. So the first and foremost is good. Congratulations on those parents who encourage their kids to get KRA pins, because that means those parents know what's up. Okay. That means they want their children to be tax compliant, which is absolutely incredible. So hecko to those folks. So congratulations. Yes, encourage your children to pay their taxes early. So the thing is, why do you need your PIN? Just to begin to learn to start the conversations with regard to taxation that we originally do not have in schools, which I think is a big problem. I mean, fine, yes, school is important, education is important, etc. But I think sometimes there are things in their life lessons that are not clearly articulated in the academic system. So if you're having conversations about money, starting business and whatnot, therefore your parents could encourage you to get your tax PIN to ensure you do not have tax issues in the future. So that's an important thing to note. So so great. Those are great conversations to have with your parents. So why is it important to file a nil return? Because if you do not file a nil return as a student, or if you do not file your return, that means you're not tax compliant. And therefore, getting your own tax compliance certificate, your TCC, a personal TCC, becomes a dynamic. It becomes a challenge. And you will find if you do not have your TCC, and I mean recently, employers are beginning to ask for your TCC. So if you're 18 and you're going through college and suddenly you're 24 or you're 23 and you're getting into workforce and you're not able to get your TCC, that becomes an issue for you. So the question is, what do you do as a student who has not been filing their nil return? So it's pretty simple. As I mentioned earlier, KRA is about communication. Speak to them clearly, articulate to them, and tell them, hey, I was a student despite me having my KRA PIN. So you put your your student ID together when you finish school, and tell them, and you submit. Those are forms you can be able to upload in your iTax platform. Or if that becomes an issue, you simply take it on to KRA, make sure you have a received copy, and you're good to go.
Okay, there you go, students. File those nil returns. Yep, and it gets you into the habit as well of learning how the iTax platform works, and always remembering that around this time I have to do some work.
Which is June 30th. Please file your returns by that time.
Well before.
You've been trying.
I've tried it.
Thanks, Vago. Now
for failing, but but we spoke about those returns and filing them. What is the penalty that one gets? If he or she does not file on time, missing the deadline, what is that penalty bracket that KRA imposes on you?
I wouldn't want per se to comment on the penalty bracket. However, it is important to note that you, as the employee, are not the one who bears the penalty with regard to not filing your return. Here's the thing. Why do you file your annual return? I think that's where we should always begin this conversation from. And the reason is, there are employers who, there is a deduction, your statutory deduction of pay as you earn from your salary. You have your gross salary. By this, that normally hits people as a surprise. You're supposed to be paid value 100,000, then all of a sudden what hits your account is 80, for example. So, as a young person, I'm wondering, who's taking my money? So great, those statutory deductions are payable. So there are moments why you file your return is in case your employer does not remit your pay as you earn on your behalf. The Income Tax Act empowers the employer to deduct on behalf of the employee and remit that pay as you earn on behalf of the employee.
So it's a checks and balances approach.
Exactly.
So KRA knows that this was due and this was paid.
Exactly. And it becomes your responsibility when now you get your P9 form to go there and click all the buttons and whatnot and make sure you follow up with that Excel sheet to make sure that, like you've mentioned, checks and balances. There are moments that it doesn't get to a spot on zero.
Yes.
But of course, if those figures are tremendously huge, I mean, then you should.
You have some problems, and it's your employer's problem actually. What I've gathered is it's a belt and braces approach. The employer has the onus to pay, but you're the check.
Yes.
KRA checks in with you to see what they should have paid.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. We've learnt a lot this morning. I'd like to say a huge thank you to you, Koti. You've taught us so much.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure coming.
We really enjoyed this interview.